So in this video, I'm going to give you a kind of brief overview of what's new in the Develop module in Lightroom 4. So the big news here is the new process version. And because this image had been opened earlier in an earlier process version, you can see this explanation point. It's warning me that it's using the older process version. And if I click on that and select Update, it will automatically then update my image to the new process version, which in many ways is much better. It's going to give you better noise reduction, certainly better control over highlights, and other kind of under the hood improvements to your image quality. And once you do that, you're going to then see a change in the basic pane controls. And again, these are all kind of ramped up, improved controls, a little more intuitive to use. I think you'll ultimately, when you get used to using them, you'll be very happy with them. If you want to go back to the previous versions, you can always do that under Settings, Process. And once you do that, you also go back to your old basic controls as well. Let me just leave that at the current version. Okay, so let's move on through to the another feature in the Develop module. That would be soft proofing. And this is something we've been asking for. And I'm, for one, I'm very excited that we now have soft proofing capabilities. When this is turned on, we're able to choose a profile, a destination profile, and get an idea of how this image is actually going to translate when it's exported into that profile. This is going to save a lot of ink, a lot of paper, a lot of headaches, certainly when you go to print. And by emulating the sRGB space, it's also going to give you some better results when you send your pictures out to be viewed on other monitors or on the web. So the soft proofing is a really cool new feature in Lightroom 4 that's going to get a lot of people pretty excited. Okay, so moving on through the features list for Lightroom 4's Develop module, the other big news is here in the adjustment brush that you can see as long as you're using the new process version. And this is important because if you haven't upgraded to the new process version, you won't get these new adjustment brush options. So these same options will appear in the graduated filter as well, only if you're using the new process version. The key one here, the one I really like, is the ability to paint in selectively white balance or temperature and tint. This is just so cool to be able to go into just a localized area and change the temperature and the tint in that area and leave the other areas alone. As well, you can denoise or add noise selectively, and as well remove moires selectively. That's all with the new controls found underneath the adjustment brush. Let me go ahead and close that. Okay, so I'm just going to move on down the right panel here. There's been some really nice improvements to the white balance tool. In the past, when you used the white balance tool, it wasn't that accurate, especially if you were using different view modes, different magnifications. Now, watch how when I'm using my scroll wheel, I can change the target size, which is going to give you a lot more precise color sampling, and by choosing the size of your target. The other thing I really like about this is the auto dismiss. You can turn this off. So now when I go and click, you can see I can move around my image area, sampling, and it doesn't automatically leave the white balance tool. I can still get that feature back by selecting auto dismiss, and you can see what happens now. It goes back into the slot. And you'd have to then bring it back to do another sampling. I just hit the W key. I got used to doing that a lot, and it'll be nice not to have to do that. Okay, so I'm going to continue down the right panel. I've already mentioned that there are new basic tones. Here's something that is new, and again, will only show up if you're using the new process version, and that's the ability to go into individual RGB or red, green, blue channels and work these channels individually. This is just going to be very exciting for people who want super precise control over exposure based on individual channels. So I think a lot of people are going to be very, very happy to see